This Chicago Public Media production is made possible in part by listeners just like you. Become a new member of WBEZ today or renew your membership online at wbez.org. Thanks.
I'm Allison Cuddy. On today's 848,
See, we sell beaver teeth here.
Because you never know when you need some beaver teeth.
woolly mammoths, next on WBEZ's 848.
And they take patches of every description and put them together. And then they made one quilt. That's our Chicago that I'm so proud of.
City of the Big Shoulders.
Holy cow!
Chicago is next.
This is 848 on WBEZ. I'm Allison Cuddy. Now on to some furry creatures that are kind of past their prime. Taxidermy is at the core of perhaps one of the strangest shops in Chicago, in the Andersonville neighborhood on the city's far north side. WBEZ's Tony Sarabia has this audio postcard of woolly mammoth antiques, oddities, and resale.
You discover the store almost by accident. Staring out of one of the large windows is a black bear. It's not a live bear, mind you, but it is a real bear that's been taxidermied. That's merchandise that lures in a person like me. Okay, so when I walk into the place, I definitely get the feeling I'm being watched. Not by hidden cameras or the store's owners, Adam and Sky Rust, but by the eyes of several animals. Let's see. There's a porcupine, a rooster pheasant, a couple of bobcats, and a zebra, all stuffed and mounted. The store almost rivals what you'd see at Chicago's Field Museum. As a matter of fact, one description the Rusts give to their space is touchable museum. Come, look around, ask questions, touch the merchandise. It's all encouraged. Of course, so is buying stuff. Oh, but there are limits to the touchable museum, says Adam Rust.
This is the number one thing I don't want anybody to touch ever in the store. This is an antique fire extinguisher.
Wait a minute, that glass ball with red liquid in it?
Yeah, it's sort of shaped like a pear and maybe the size of a grapefruit. But what it does is it sucks the oxygen out of a room. So if there's a fire, you throw this at the base of the fire and it sucks all the oxygen out around it.
You can understand why that is off limits to touching, but it is for sale. Adam Rust got his first taxidermied piece from his mom when he was a kid. It was a vintage stuffed alligator. Adam's wife Sky comes from a family of hunters, and growing up, always hated taxidermy. They don't hunt. They do love and even name the animals perched, hanging, or lunging from the walls.
I'm not necessarily interested in going out and hunting an animal, lopping its head off and hanging on my wall as a trophy.
We're rescuing them.
We're rescuing them.
Yeah.
It's
We're like a shelter for awesome vintage taxidermy.
That's what we like to consider it like.
Hi there. Hi.
How are you?
Okay. Well, you must know somebody who hunts.
I do, but these aren't where I got these guys. That's not where I got these guys.
How is this?
This is the first time at Woolly Mammoth for Janet Zegler. And like lots of the customers, she's a bit wide-eyed, but not bothered by all these stuffed creatures.
Even if you're, pro-animal, it's just a wonderful experience. And the stories of how they kind of passed on, I mean, it's not like they were really all hunted.
Yep, there's a story behind each find. Whether it's the authentic Civil War bayonet, the pamphlets on animal sex, or the head of Lightning, the zebra. He stares at you from the wall behind the checkout counter.
The only story I know of any zebra committing suicide. And what had happened was he had got excited somehow and ran into the side of a barn and he broke his own neck. Horrifying story, but I actually think it's more comforting than if Lightning was out running around in the plains and got shot by a hunter.
Sky and Adam's inspiration for Woolly Mammoth came from a trip to Eastern Europe.
In Romania, we were hunting Vlad the Impaler.
That's the infamous Count Dracula.
It was a weird kind of trip. Not everybody's going to go hunt Dracula. And it sounds cheesy, but it was a lot of fun, and it gave us a goal about how to explore the country. And so that kind of weirdo interest totally segued into what we choose to purchase and collect.
And collect, they do. A visit inside Woolly Mammoth is my vision of an eccentric relative's attic, or the basement of a museum.
See, we sell beaver teeth here, but...
Because you never know when you need some beaver teeth.
And what's great, I love showing people this, is because it looks really long. Well, that's not even the half of it, because beavers and porcupines have to constantly be chewing so that their teeth file down. And so if I can pull this out, and it's really, really long back in there. See how long
Oh,
that
wow.
tooth is? So, I mean, it keeps growing, and that's why they have to keep eating.
How did you know that would pull out?
Because I've done it a lot.
This guy found those teeth at a junk store in western Wisconsin. Now, earlier I told you they don't hunt. Half true. They are voracious hunters. Not the bow and arrow type, but they still get the same thrill.
We never know what we're going to come home with. I mean, a lot of times we have a route planned out because of a lead or something, but inevitably we end up discovering some treasure. We like to call it our Zelda prize of the trip.
She's referring to the Nintendo Fantasy Quest game Zelda, where you engage in battles to gain certain rewards.
These are Zelda pieces right here. These are nearly life-size sideshow. You could say posters, but they're actually painted on a hard board, so it's really more of a panel. So what we have is Flamo the Fire Eater and Serpentina the Snake Charmer, and they're really brightly painted, full-size figures of the two sideshow characters doing their various activities.
I was at another Andersonville antique store that intricately displayed lots of vintage holiday fare, and you could tell the owner clearly had put time into the design. That's how it is for the Rusts. We may think everything is just thrown about, but Sky and Adam put lots of thought into how the shop looks. For Sky, Woolly Mammoth is also one big art installation.
Because we're constantly redecorating, figuring out where they should go on a wall to be best noticed, what should go next to it, to be complementary. So, and it's such a small space that it really has to be curated for it to make any sense.
So there you go. Woolly Mammoth is not only a place to find vintage salt and pepper shakers or Desert Storm trading cards, it's also an exhibition, touchable museum, and of course the result of the owner's travels for treasures. Oh yeah, and most everything is for sale. That black bear in the window, $2,300 and it's yours. Now wouldn't that surprise the hard-to-shop-for person on your list? Tony Sarabia, WBEZ.
Patrick left this on our
couldn't
doorstep
decide
yesterday
which one,
morning, so when we got to work.
They didn't realize it and they just came in and found it. They didn't know me.
And you have a name for it.
Well, they named it Mural. I always kind of...
Marielle Hemingway.
I always thought it was...
It's Marielle Hemingway.
Concrete Cupid is good too.
Let them take no chance. Let not be else someone come and learn to dance. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Bully, bully. Watch it now, watch it, watch it, watch it.
And Tony Sarabia and his Woolly Mammoths wrap up 8:48 for this Wednesday, December 14th. Thanks for joining us today. Come back tomorrow at 9 after Morning Edition. The Dueling Critics will pop in with a special holiday theater preview. And Linda Lutton is back with the latest from the Chicago Board of Education meeting. That and more tomorrow at 9 and again at 9 p.m. Thanks to Jason Mark for directing and Liz Bustamante for engineering. Thank you all for listening. I'm Allison Cuddy, and this is 848 on 91.5 FM WBEZ.
Get you someone really